Everything starts somewhere. I'm here on the corner of Main and Ash Streets in Cedar Springs at the site of the old Skinner drugstore, where a group of Free Methodists gathered back in 1876 to hold revival meetings in the upstairs of that store. Elise Skinner was a charter member of that group. She was the mother of the drugstore owner, and she offered the upstairs of that store for a gathering place for them. And they sought the Lord there. They prayed, they sang, they worshiped. They sought the Scriptures and asked God, what are you starting? What are you creating here? What are you calling us to be? In Acts, we read the story of the disciples after Jesus ascended into heaven. And it says they went back into Jerusalem and they went into the upstairs of the house they were staying in. And they gathered there in that upper room and they prayed constantly. And how on the day of Pentecost, the Holy Spirit descended on that group and filled them. And the church was born on that day. Can't help but see the parallel between that story and the story that happened here in Cedar Springs with that small group of Free Methodists who gathered in the upstairs of the Skinner drugstore. And they prayed and they worshiped and they had revival, and the Holy Spirit met with them. And a new church was formed here in Cedar Springs. I can't help but wonder what it must have been like for that group of people. And upstairs of a drugstore, I imagine it was crammed. I imagine it was somewhat uncomfortable. The heat might have been stifling at times, but that didn't matter. What mattered is that God was moving, that God was up to something new. God was changing lives, and God wanted to birth a church here in our town that would impact lives for many generations to come. Main Street sure has changed a lot over the decades since 1876. In fact, the old Skinner drugstore where it all began has since burned down. But what hasn't changed is the passion that God has placed in the heart of the people in the Springs Church family to be transformed, to be made new, to be made whole in every way, mind, body, heart, and spirit. To be transformed into people who are living for God, serving Him, and reaching this community for Jesus Christ. It's pretty amazing to think that what starts on a simple plot of land in the upstairs of an old drugstore can bring us this many years down the road with an excitement of where we're going to go into the future.